Yes, so you briefly touched on the merge and what was happening there, but are there any other kind of movements that are helping to improve the sustainability within cryptocurrencies?
Yeah, definitely. So like you said, the main movement over the last few years has been transitioning from proof of work to proof of stake. So most modern blockchains, like I said, are proof of stake, and those require very little in resources. The main activity that's interesting right now on the blockchain is related to these carbon markets. So kind of some of the stuff we're doing here at the university. But there are lots of groups that are doing this. And so on the blockchain, on blockchains that allow for smart contracts. So these will be like Ethereum, Avalanche, Cardano, all Tezos, all these. They're most blockchains. I'm blanking on all these names right now. Pretty much every blockchain, except for Bitcoin. Bitcoin doesn't really meaningfully have smart contracts. These people are building. You can have tokens on these blockchains, so you can tokenize assets. And so what's happening right now is people are making tokens that represent carbon credits of some kind. Either they're backed by physical, like carbon credits from current registries like Vera. So these are carbon offsets. Maybe I should explain exactly what these are. There are projects that are capturing carbon in some way. So there are some that use like industrial scale like machines to do this, but the vast majority are nature-based. And so it's essentially like growing trees and maintaining forests and avoiding deforestation. If you can prove to some organizations like Vera or Gold Standard or Red Plus, they will issue you a carbon credit. And this is a credit toward like offsetting your own emissions. And so when Google makes the claim that they're net zero, or Apple, or any other company, if they claim to be net zero, what they've done is they have estimated their own emissions and they've tried to offset that by buying offsets off of the open market. And there's a growing trend to do this, these voluntary carbon offset markets. So these markets are meaningfully moving on blockchain. There are some really good reasons for that. It's a good fit for the kind of decentralized nature of the blockchain. It's borderless naturally. And you can encode markets really quite effectively. That said, it's still really quite nascent as an industry. But this is very, very interesting activity happening right now. So tons happening on Ethereum. Here at Cambridge, we're building mostly on Tezos for now. The CLO blockchain is one interesting one that's like specifically oriented toward sustainability. And so all their projects do that. And if you have a token on the blockchain, you can do lots of cool things with it. You can integrate it in more ways than just having a marketplace. You can gamify it, and there are several other interesting applications. So the goal of this industry is to really kind of solve this global coordination problem over climate change, which is how do we lower our total emissions? And in order to do so, we need to fund projects that are capturing carbon. And that's historically been quite difficult to do efficiently. And so what's happening on the blockchain is it's essentially connecting people who want to buy carbon credits in this global decentralized marketplace that's borderless with people who want to sell them, and doing so with more and more efficiency every day. The hope is that eventually there's really robust infrastructure so that this is a seamless thing. Yeah, so that's our vision at least.
This is extremely interesting because when we talk about cryptocurrencies, and blockchain in general technology, we only think typically of the negative side of it, but it seems that there's also some positive side of blockchain and technology in itself. And maybe on a final question, do you you mentioned that Bitcoin was in a sense one of the last large cryptocurrency running on a proof of work consensus mechanism. Do you expect this to ever change? Do you think that at some point Bitcoin will run with a proof of stake consensus mechanism?
No, never. No, I mean, never say never, right? And who knows what the Bitcoin community will do, but I really can't imagine them departing from proof of work. And at least the way that I conceptualize these cryptocurrencies, it seems to me that there's a good reason for why, like Bitcoin, part of what is key to its narrative as it's different from other cryptocurrencies in that it's conceptualized as digital gold. And so it's a store of value. With other cryptocurrencies, you have these smart contracts, and what you really have is a smart contracting platform, and the cryptocurrency is like gas for that. And ownership of the network and the value of that currency goes up with the value of the network. So Ethereum, using the network effect, as more and more things get on Ethereum, the idea is that ETH will eventually go up in value because of the value of the network itself. Bitcoin is different, where it's one of the last remaining cryptocurrencies where you expend physical resources, like literal, hard physical resources for this digital money, and its security is underpinned by that. And in some sense, it being underpinned by physical processes like that, rather than kind of these economic game theoretic incentives like proof of stake, it's a physical process, is inherent kind of to its message and to its security. It's just so core to the value proposition that I really, really can't see them changing ever. And whether that's a problem or not, it does use electricity. That's true. Lots of things that we do to secure our assets use lots of electricity. So I wouldn't view it as just unequivocally a negative that it uses so much electricity. It's more nuanced, I think, the issue from there. And hopefully, all of that consumption will be more than offset on all the good activity that we have going on the other blockchains.
Awesome. Derek Sorensen, thank you so much for your time. It was a real pleasure.
You're welcome. Yeah, good to be here.